Here's a piece of advice. Don't put greatest in your title if you're actually going to be bad.
He's not serious. He's hammered. Look at him.
I'm going to Vietnam, and I'm bringing a beer! Yeah!
Hey guys, it's Sean O'Connell, the managing editor here at CinemaBlend, and I'm in Toronto, attending the Toronto International Film Festival and bringing you reviews from the best movies that we've gotten to see so far. But listen, they're not all going to be good. And you test drive some movies because you know the talent who are involved, and it falls nicely into your schedule. And that's how I ended up seeing Peter Farrelly's upcoming comedy, sort of, called The Greatest Beer Run Ever. It stars Zac Efron as a amiable New Yorker during the Vietnam War era who decides that in order to help his friends who are fighting in the Vietnam War overseas, he's going to figure out some way to get them beer. It's a great concept, and I'm going to explain to you now why it doesn't work.
You're going to get yourself killed over there.
It's like you said, everyone's doing something.
Let's start off by saying something nice about The Greatest Beer Run Ever, and that's that I like Zac Efron in the movie. He is just a casually likable guy in general, and his character really means well. His character's name is Chicky. He's in the Merchant Marines, but has been left back home it's New York. They keep saying it's New York, but it kind of has that fake Boston accent and machismo that comes with the Farrelly Brothers movies. So I kept mistaking them for being from Boston, but he kept reminding me that he's from New York. And he's stuck back home in the pubs, and he's reminiscing with his friends who are still home around him about how difficult it must be for the boys overseas, and how they're, tired of hearing about the dangers that their friends who have enlisted in are facing on a daily basis. And the film does dabble a bit in the political aspects of, should we even be in that war? Should we not be? Who are the people in the neighborhood protesting against when they protest against the war? But the movie never commits to that. It wants to be more light and frothy. So it goes in the direction where Zac Efron's character decides that in order to make a difference in this war, he's going to do something unique for his friends who are fighting there. And he's going to smuggle beer over to Vietnam so that they can get a taste of what they're fighting for. And listen, just saying it out loud is cheesy, but it's okay. The concept makes sense. I understand. It's sweet. And I wanted it to work because it's a nice idea. But when it comes to the execution of this movie, it can't get further than 5 or 10 minutes without you pointing out all of the different reasons why this would never work. And in fact, Efron's character is told repeatedly by not only the people who he needs to get help from in order to get to Vietnam, but by his friends when he gets there, that there's no way that this should be working. And yet it kind of keeps bumbling along through some really bad script changes that I want to address in our next section.
You think this is funny? I'm not doing this for laughs. I'm doing it for all you guys.
Okay, so the main reason why I cannot give this film a passing grade is the script, because it is one of the worst screenplays that I've seen in a really long time. It's one of those ones where just like if you applied logic to it at any step, the entire film would fall apart. There are different moments when Zac Efron's character has to keep moving around through Vietnam as a civilian, and he's essentially able to walk onto military bases by handing cans of beer to people who are at the gate guarding the place. Or he'll pretend to be a CIA agent so that he can get himself onto a helicopter and get teleported over into the war zone so that he can bump into one of his friends. It's one of those nonsensical stories where Zac Efron will be walking through the jungles of Vietnam late at night, and a Jeep will come up behind him, and he'll put his hands up and say, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." But that's okay, because the driver of the Jeep is one of his friends from back home, because that's how things work in real life. And it's, if you're going to just go with it, then that's fine. The magical realism of cinema can take you away, and you can turn off your brain and just have fun with this guy who's trying to bring beer to all of his friends overseas. Let alone the fact that he has one duffel bag full of beer that never seems to run out. And if you transport that duffel bag full of beer from New York City to Vietnam and start handing it out, it has to be the warmest and skunkiest beer that you've ever drank. Like, he's actually insulting his friends by handing them Pabst Blue Ribbon that has been in his canvas bag for, let's say, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at this point now. He always wears the same outfit, so you never actually see him sleep or eat or change. He's just marching along Forrest Gump style with this sack of beer over his shoulder like Santa handing out PBR to the guys in Vietnam. And again, I like the idea. It's a good concept. The execution is terrible. Peter Farrelly's direction is okay. It's not one of the worst made films I've ever seen. I just can't excuse the script. The script is so bad on every level that despite how likable Zac Efron is in the role and how much I wanted the concept to work, it just fails to become an entertaining film or anything that you can believe in.
Somebody's got to be here to see what's going on. I want the truth told. For them.
Okay, but you're asking me, what about Russell Crowe? I thought Russell Crowe was in this movie. And yes, poor Russell Crowe does show up for a couple of minutes in this film. He plays a journalist who is stationed in one of the hotel bars that Zac Efron has to visit because he's told that if he's a member of the press, he'll be able to travel around in country a little bit more easily. But Russell Crowe doesn't do much else besides sit in that bar and spout platitudes to Zac Efron about how bad the war might be or how misunderstood the coverage that the media is giving to the war is. And Zac Efron talks about how positive the news should be to the people back home to help them believe that the guys are there doing the right thing. And again, that's when the movie sort of dips its toe into the political realm, but never feels very comfortable plunging full throttle into it. So it pulls itself back really quickly, giving Russell Crowe not much else to do. There is a bit of an action scene towards the end where around the hotel where they're stationed, there's an attack. Russell Crowe kind of gets involved in that part, but he's basically wasted in the role that he's given. And this is largely Zac Efron's movie. So if you were going into it expecting to see some more out of your favorite actor, Russell Crowe, you're not going to get it in the greatest beer run ever.
You're going to find out it's a lot harder to get out of a war than it is to get into one.
I'm trying to show them that somebody back home is still behind them.
All of that being said, I'm going to give the greatest beer run ever 1.5 stars out of 5. I like Zac Efron. I liked him in this part. It's not his fault that the movie doesn't work. He really gives it his all. He tries to be that earnest guy from back home who just wants to do something good for his friends. Unfortunately, the material that he is handed is not worthy of what he's bringing to the film. So greatest beer run ever is definitely not the greatest film that I've seen up here in Toronto.
Come on, time to go.
Is it over?
Yeah, you're dead.
But that doesn't mean that there haven't been really good things at the Toronto International Film Festival, and we've been covering a lot of them while we're up here. Everything from Bros to The Woman King, and we have plenty more to come, including Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel, and the new film from Steven Spielberg, The Fabelmans. So you want to make sure that you hit like and subscribe, keep it on our YouTube channel, and get all of the coverage that we are bringing you from the Toronto International Film Festival.